request everyone to put the phones on their silent mode, please. May I please request to everybody to put the phones on your silent mode, please. Before we begin with today's program for the International Week, may I please request all to rise at your seats for SU Anthem.
Heartily thank our mother, SARVAJANIK Education Society. We seek blessings and guidance from the great Almighty. We are SARVAJANIK University, creating an enlightened society.
We create new knowledge, we give wings to your dreams, strength to your vision, meaning to your life. We are a team together. We are the sign of prosperity. We are the hope together. We are Sarvajanik University. Sarvajanik University.
We shall go beyond usual. We shall act beyond belief. We shall lead to make a difference. We shall create a new world. We are a team together. We are the sign of prosperity. We are the hope together. We are Sarvajanik University. Sarvajanik University.
Sauthi bane, saune game, sauna jeevan savarti, sauna sangati sau koi nu, sundar bhavi banavati. Sarvajanik University, Sarvajanik University. We are all together making a better life and better society. We are all together working for better future with peace of Almighty. We are all together making a better life and better society. We are all together working for better future with peace of Almighty. Asato ma satgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma mritangamaya.
Thank you. Please be seated. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Buenos dias, damas. Subha Sanvayak, Nona Varuni, Mahat Varuni. I, Professor Sanaya Varyava, on behalf of Sarvajanik University, take pride in welcoming all the dignitaries, deans, colleagues and students to this inaugural program of International Week and Dissemination Program of WP1, fostering inclusive and equitable quality education to stimulate lifelong sustainable learning opportunities for HEIs in India. That is INEQSL, hosted by SARVAJANIK University. Shubham Karoti Kalyanam. As we gather here today to inaugurate the Internationalization Week hosted by SARVAJANIK University, it is my honor to stand before you as the Master of Ceremony. Today marks a pivotal moment in our journey as an education society, guided by the timeless mantra, Tamsoma Jyotirgamaya. Lead us from darkness into the light. In our pursuit of internationalization, we embark upon a journey akin to warfare, not against fellow humans, but against the pervasive darkness of ignorance that shrouds our society. It is a war against the confines of our own belief, paradigms, and limited intellect. It is a war fought on the battlegrounds of our mind against insecurities and narrow-mindedness. Today, we present a symbol of our commitment to this noble cause. A lamp representing the weapon with which we shall combat the darkness within ourselves and our society. These lamps are the beacon of hope, a vessel of knowledge, and a testament to our resolve to illuminate the path ahead. With the lighting of the lamp, we signify our readiness to embrace the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. Let it serve as a beacon of inspiration for us all as we march forward together, united in our quest to defeat the darkness and usher in a new era of enlightenment. So, let us join hands, hearts, and minds as we embark upon this transformative journey. Together, let us transcend boundaries, expand our horizons, illuminate the world with the brilliance of knowledge, and enlighten the society. With this, as I announce, may I now request the Nari Shakti of our university to come forward and bestow upon our esteemed president and all the dignitaries on stage, on the dais with the diyas and Vijay Tilak as mark of victory. Can I please request Ms. Professor Pauna Vimawala, Professor Wabis Engineer, Professor Hemlata Agarwal, Professor Charmi Patel, Professor Pariza Kamboj, Professor Shikha Samaya, Professor Mita Rathod, Professor Roshni Langrana, and Ms. Chiali to come forward and bestow upon our esteemed President and all the dignitaries with Vijay Tilak as a mark of victory. With this sacred adornment of Vijay Tilak, we convey our heartfelt wishes for triumph in the battle against ignorance. We wish to provoke Almighty by lighting of lamp as a symbol of enlightenment. But it isn't possible in this premise. So may I request all dignitaries on dais to switch on the torchlight of your phones as a mark of illumination. While we light the diyas, may I request Professor Beena Sheikh to chant the mantras.
ऐगिरि नन्दिनि नन्दित मेदिनि विश्व विनोदिनि नन्दनुते गिरिवर विंध्य शिरोदिनि वासिनि विष्णु विलासिनि जिष्णुनुते भगवति हेशिति कंठ कुटुंबिनि भूरि कुटुंबि भूरि कृते जय जय हे महिषासुर मर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते शिवाय गौरी वजनाग्रमुण्ड सूर्याय दक्षाधरनाशकाय श्रीनीलकण्ठाय वृषध्वजाय तस्मै शिकाराय नमः शिवाय.
Thank you, ma'am. May this light of knowledge guide our path as we lead us fearlessly into this noble crusade. Tamsoma Jyotirgamaya. What an auspicious way to begin with. As rightly quoted by Cloud Atlas, all boundaries are conventions, waiting to be transcended. One may transcend any convention if only one can first conceive of doing so. And to present the welcome note, I would like to invite the one who believes and dedicatedly work on these lines. With the thought of transcending boundaries and to keep it energized, may I invite our dynamic, dedicated and visionary leader, Professor Percy Engineer, Honorable Provost, SARVAJANIK University, to present his welcome note to the August gathering.
Very warm greetings from SARVAJANIK University to all present over here. And what a brilliant idea. Just 5 minutes ago, I get a phone call from the Master of Ceremony that the authorities of this hall have asked us that you cannot light a lamp in this hall because of fire safety reasons, for whatever rules that have been framed for fire safety. And the Master of Ceremony came up with this idea. There is whole process of internationalization is going to be virtual very soon. So can we virtually light the lamps in our heart and mind through the mobiles, light of our mobiles, because that is what is going to now be the light of the future. Brilliant. I must congratulate for the last minute idea that you got. Welcome to our esteemed guest, faculty members, my wonderful students. It is really very heartwarming to know that so many of you are present, physically present over here, trying to know about internationalization. Before I proceed further, I must also tell you that we had floated a link for online registration, and I'm told that we are now total registration, we have received total registration online of more than 1,100 people worldwide. Must compliment the International Officer Hardik for this wonderful effort that he put forward. Having 1,100 people online registered worldwide is an amazing achievement. President of the SARVAJANIK University and the Chairman of SARVAJANIK Education Society, Bharat Bhai Shah. There are two vice chairmen who are absent today, but they are busy with some other occupation of education itself. We have our immediate past chairman and immediate past president Rajesh Bhai Desai, Shri Rohit Bhai Mehta. We have Professor Francisco from Spain and Professor Eloy from Spain, both sitting in this hall. We also have Professor Juliana. In English, I would call her Juliana, but she told me that in Spanish you must call me Juliana or something like that. So, welcome Juliana. We have Mr. Subhasinghe from Sri Lanka. We have Mr. Jai Lanka from Sri Lanka. I'm sorry if I pronounce your names wrong, but that's the beauty of internationalization, that ultimately we are all friends, no matter naam mein kya rakha hai, what's there in the name. Anyway, we have very soon joining from IIT Roorkee, Dr. Shantanu, Dr. Ravikant. We have Professor Ketan from Ganpat, we have Dr. Neeraj Chawda from CVM University, we have Professor Indrajit from Jadov University, we have online presence of TU Delft, Netherlands, of Professor Victor, and Professor Anna from Aveiro, Portugal, and Ms. Zain from Riga Technical University, Latvia. From Thai Chamber of Commerce, Thailand, we have Mr. Parichat. From Nepal, we have Dr. Durga Prasad Bhandari, and Mr. Shwang, President of Royal University of Bhutan. They are all, and of course, along with many more dignitaries who have joined online. It's my great pleasure and pride to welcome you all for this inaugural program and the technical presentation to follow. As I stand before you today, and as we embark on this exciting journey of internationalization, collaboration, and exchange, and as we inaugurate this inaugural program of internationalization at SARVAJANIK University, let me remind you all that in this interconnected world, we are strongly interconnected now. Fostering global partnership and embracing diverse perspective is the paramount to academic excellence. If you want to excel, these are the two important things. You will have to foster global partnerships and you will have to embrace diverse perspective of education, and that is the only way you can really achieve academic excellence. We will be able to transcend the boundaries and cultivate a rich tapestry of knowledge and understanding through the research projects that we do with Erasmus and with international collaborations with all the wonderful universities present over here. As we gather here representing various corners of the globe, I am reminded of my own experience that underscores the transformative power of international exposure. Friends, as a student, I went to Holland, and I was very nervous that what am I going to do in a foreign country? As a student of architecture long back ago in 1987, 89. But let me tell you that small exposure that I had at the university in Holland actually changed my way of looking towards life. And I emerged not only with newfound knowledge, but also with a broader worldview and a deeper appreciation of diversity. Indeed, international exposure serves as a catalyst for personal and academic growth. I strongly believe that to travel is to take a journey into yourself. It challenges and questions your assumptions and broaden our horizons and embrace the richness of global perspectives. But friends, let me tell you that internationalization may start with global travel or exchange programs. But exchange programs or global travel is not what is internationalization. The most important strategies related to internationalization is internationalization at home. And that is the purpose why we are meeting here today. Internationalization at home, which means integrating the dimensions of international learning environment and standards within all our higher education institutions in India. Unless and until we don't match up and map up with the education standards globally, and that is what is the intention of internationalization. Let me tell you, friends, and my friend from Sri Lanka, we started our global exposure program in 2007. And our first trip was in Sri Lanka at the Colombo School of Architecture. And it actually opened up our minds and changed our paradigms. And we did a joint workshop, design workshop with them. And when the students of Colombo School of Architecture came back to Surat, 40 of them, and we did a joint workshop of 24/7 over here. We took up a project in Chowk Bazaar called it Wheeling the Nucleus. That is the present Surat 4. And then the commissioner of Surat Municipal Corporation, Madam Aparna, was the commissioner and she was the jury. And I'm so happy to tell you that such student programs ultimately converted into an architecture project. And we got that architecture project to design the heritage precinct of Chowk Bazaar. So an academic program got converted into a professional program, and that is the beauty of such international exchange. And then later on, since 2015-16, we had a very strong connection with UPCT, and we could send a couple of our students, more than 40 students and more than 10 teachers and even 2 admin staff to just kind of expose themselves to the global education programs and global education paradigms. And the first thing that we all learned, and we came back, and that was to change our curriculum. When I say change our curriculum, does not mean we wanted to change everything that we were teaching, but we brought in subjects which were besides the core subject. We realized internationally, when you do a particular subject, the only core subject is 50%. The remaining 50% is allied and transdisciplinary. That is what we brought into our curriculum. The second thing we did was mapping our credit structure with the best global universities to create opportunities for student exchange program and cross-institutional learning. And the third thing that we did through internationalization with UPCT was actually capacity building and attitude building. When I say attitude building, it is so important that as a teacher, you have a different perspective of looking at things. And Ms. Mayuri will agree because she travels to several universities, and every time when we chat on the Facebook, we both agree on one common thing, that we need a big paradigm change, not in anything else, but in our attitudes, right, Mayuri ma'am? And that is how it started, and it is here in UPCT, because I remember then the rector, I cannot pronounce his name. No. Anyway. Alejandro. Yeah, I cannot pronounce his name. He's the president and the vice chancellor or the president of the university, and I was in his cabin. And then he asked me, what would you like to have? And I said, coffee. In India, our mindset would be press a bell and the peon would come. But there he stood up, made the coffee, and put it in front of me. And I realized the leadership is not what you do within the four walls of your cabin, but it is to do beyond your office with your teachers, staff, students, and visitors. I think that is one thing that I learned, of course, with my various exposure globally, but one thing that I learned from UPCT was that leadership is beyond the cabin, four walls of the cabin. I learned as a leader to break down the barriers, foster connections, and be accessible to all members of the university community. And that was what I could see. They used to just come inside, open the door, not even knock the door, and they used to not call him sir. They used to call him Alejandro or something. And that was so appealing that this is what leadership should become. And today, when we celebrate this International Week, we must understand that it is this kind of small things that will tell us what internationalization is all about. Learning from good practices other places. So friends, today as we come together to celebrate our International Week, let us seize this opportunity to forge a meaningful connections. Let us exchange ideas. Let us collaborate on projects that transcend the boundaries. Let us embrace the spirit of curiosity and openness, knowing that it is through dialogue and collaboration that we will uncover innovative solutions to challenge the problems of our time. And that we just saw how we overcome one problem of lighting a lamp to a very innovative solution. I would like to leave you with a quote from Helen Keller. Alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. So friends, may this International Week serve as a testament to the power of unity in diversity and the boundless possibilities that emerge when we come together as global citizens committed to learning, collaboration, and mutual respect. So let us today embark on this journey together with enthusiasm, with curiosity, and a shared commitment to academic excellence. Thank you very much, and I once again welcome you all to this internationalization inaugural program. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Fassi. Indeed inspiring. Now, as a mark of remembrance, may I please invite Mr. Bharat Shah, President SARVAJANIK University and Chairman SARVAJANIK Education Society, to honor Professor Francisco Vera, UPCT Spain, with floral greetings, case, and a memento. Thank you, sir. May I now request Professor Percy Engineer, Provost Sarvajanik University, to honor Ms. Juliana Cesato, UAN, Colombia, with floral greetings, case, and a memento. Thank you. May I please request Mr. Rajesh Desai, past President Sarvajanik University, to extend floral greetings, case and a memento to Professor Dr. Shubha Shenge, University of Peradeniya, Sri Lanka. Thank you. May I please invite Professor Hardik Gandhi, International Relations Officer, Sarvajanik University, to extend floral greetings, case and a memento to Professor Eloy Hernandez, UP City, Spain. Thank you. May I now request Professor Dr. Jimmy Kapadia, Director, SR Luthra, to extend floral greetings to Professor Neeraj Chawda, CVM University. May I please invite Professor Bhadresh Dalal, Principal Scholar, to extend floral greetings to Professor Ketan Sarwakar, Ganpat University. May I now request Mr. Rohit Mehta to extend floral greetings to Professor Indrajit Jadhav, T.Y. Patil College of Engineering and Technology. May I now invite Professor Hiren Patel, Principal SCAD, to extend floral greetings to Professor Jaitilaka. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, may I have the honor to invite Ms. Juliana Morales Casaito, International Relations UAN, to address the audience.
Hello everyone, my name is Juliana Morales. I'm from Universidad Antonio Nariño in Bogota, Colombia. I know some of you know about my university because Sara and Sofia here the last semester, which they were so happy to be here. So thank you very much for all that make this a possible experience for my students. For me, it's an honor to be here, to be invited to this International Week. I hope that this led us to share a knowledge to make the internationalization a better form to a better thing to our students, and that we can share sorry for that. I know that we can do better things for internationalization together. So welcome to this International Week, and thank you for inviting me and being so nice to us. Thank you, person.
Thanks, Juliana. May I please invite Professor Francisco Vera, UP City, Spain, to address the audience with his note about the program.
University of Cartagena. Sorry, yes, now. I'm from Polytechnical University of Cartagena in Spain, but I'm not here only for that university or one country of Spain. I would like to say that we are here to sharing all European technical university of technology, European Technical University. That is a very important alliance. Is the only alliance that is forming for 9 universities, all technical and all with the mission of sharing the values of the engineering and the values of the European for the rest of the world, to sharing that values. Well, I'm completely emotional. I'm feeling well. Tomorrow is the patron of the engineers. I don't know if it's here. Is normal. Is normal. San Josep is the patron of engineering in Spain. And well, in the day of patron of engineering, normally the graduation of the last year, the engineering graduation last year, take one thing that is like this, that is the beca. So now today I feeling like I graduated for these universities and the university. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for my and well. going forward for have more collaboration and more internalization between us and between the rest of the world. Thank you.
Gracias, Sir. May I now please request Professor Dr. Shubhashinke, University of Peradeniya, Sri Lanka, to address the gathering.
Hello, everyone. Yes, I want to know that how many of you like the cricket? No one? You know that when we were small, we see this Kapil Dev and and our Sri Lankan Aravinda Silva, like Sanat Jayasuriya, right? How we come together, right? Okay, like that. I love this. You all, right? You all are, human being, right? Who needs happiness and prosperity for our life, right? That's the theme of this internationalization, right? The main theme of the management of governance for the resources in this natural world for all human beings, to happiness and prosperity of everyone. And that is I think that the theme of this one. That is why we love this all people who hit sixes, right? Professor Percy is having sixes for the internationalization, right? Everybody enjoy, right? We all enjoy, right? I don't know in this Europe they don't have, I think, cricket, but they have football, right? When they play football, they all they're happy. That the happiness is the most important, and the prosperity and the most the important two words for this internationalization. Ultimate goal of the internationalization is for wherever we go, and you don't have any problem, like they host for us, right? And everything, right? When you come to Sri Lanka also, we host for, I am from Sri Lanka, very beautiful, and the most beautiful university in Sri Lanka, the University of Peradeniya. I all welcome you to come to Sri Lanka. We have engineering faculty. You also join with that. You can do your masters or your PhDs, right? Okay, I invite you all to join with this internationalization for the prosperity and happiness of you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shubhashinke sir. May I please request Mr. Rohit Mehta to share his views on internationalization and its way ahead.
Respected President of SARVAJANIK University and Chairman of SARVAJANIK Education Society, Mr. Bharat Bhai Shah, the immediate past President Rajesh Bhai, Provost Percy, dignitaries on the dais, teachers and students, our guests, partners and stakeholders joining us online. Good afternoon to all of you. As a chairman of International Programs and Collaboration Committee of SARVAJANIK Education Society, I welcome you all. It is my privilege to address this gathering and a week-long workshop on internationalization in the field of education at SURAT, with its partners, associates, and stakeholders joining online and offline. I also take the privilege to welcome our foreign guests to Surat and hope you all have a very engaging and fruitful experience. To begin with, let me congratulate the Provost of SARVAJANIK University, Professor Percy Engineer, and his team for organizing this extraordinary and unique International Week, and also to the Chairman of SARVAJANIK Education Society, who is the President of SARVAJANIK University, Mr. Bharat Shah, and his team of office bearers, for endorsing and giving their unconditional support to this important exercise and to the overall push towards internationalization of SARVAJANIK University. Thank you, sir. The world is a global village. This terminology was never more apt and relevant at any point of time in the past than it is now. Except for national borders and political compulsions, boundaries in all domains are breaking down. Communities are merging and people are mingling. Fortunately, and to the liking of all, the situation in the future is going to ease out much more. And the catalyst for all of this is going to be education. The earlier we realize this and start working on it, the better it is for each one of us to maximize our gains. The National Education Policy NEP 2020, introduced and promoted by the Government of India, has precisely this objective in mind: to integrate our education system with global trends, acceptable norms, and established standards. And what exactly is happening in the education sector? It is bringing young boys and girls together, exposing them to diverse cultures, values, and resources, making them more open-minded and tolerant, expanding their intellectual capacities and capabilities. All this because the total dynamics of education is changing, making it more open, transparent, flexible, unconventional, and digital. This is to accommodate the needs and requirements of a student-centric education system. It is needless to conclude that education is one area on which governments and academicians are focusing to bring in a dramatic, dynamic change, leading us to this student-centric education system. Internationalism is one way universities and colleges can offer its students to adapt to this new world order in education by upscaling and upgrading in programs, curriculum, and systems, and remaining updated. Internationalism in education is introducing and promoting the spirit of global interdependence. It is an exercise in exploring and caching each other's strengths and growing together. An arrangement between two universities will flourish if there is an element and an arrangement of give and take. Smartness is in identifying those areas where you are ready to give and those areas where you are willing to take. A long-term relationship like this will result in a win-win equation for mutual benefit. Some of the most favored conventional areas of collaboration are student exchange, faculty training, curriculum mapping, syllabus matching, honoring credit transfers, internship opportunities for students, global research collaborations, and capacity building. But internationalism is much, much more than that. We need to jump into the waters to learn swimming. Like education, internationalism by a university has to be student-centric. Our students are our customers. The student in this area is very informed and a choosy person. He is not ready to accept a fixed plate of meal where there are items not to his liking, nor is he ready to confine himself to one classroom in one university. He is demanding. He wants technology. He wants variety. He wants freedom to pick and choose because his aptitude and career goals are not satisfied by structured modules that were offered till now. Moreover, with increased flow of information, he is aware of the options available elsewhere which are acceptable to him within the country and abroad. This puts pressure on universities and colleges within his immediate residential reach to offer him multidisciplinary, new and creative programs of value according to his needs. Anything and everything within the boundaries of decency and discipline have to be offered to him. In short, all his academic expectations and professional needs have to be satisfied. Failing which, he is decided to find his own way, even without complaining or warning us. The point is, we have competition. So we have to be alert and agile. If we have decided to be complacent and bank upon our past glory, we are making a big mistake. This is where internationalism and international collaborations can play a big role. It satisfies the students' craving for quality, variety, and exposure to truly global learning environment. The process can kickstart by identifying potential associates and signing memoranda of understanding. These MOUs are a statement of intent. They bring two institutions together on a common platform. The MOU by itself does not guarantee progress and success unless the stakeholders decide to take it forward through systematic efforts and organized activity. With the growing stature of India on the world map, many universities all over the world are keen to collaborate with our universities. This is a welcome situation for us. We have to grab these international opportunities with open hands. But internationalization of education comes with a cost to the institution. The cost in terms of providing improved infrastructure, advanced technology, engaging quality teaching staff using modern gadgets, and the cost for their continuous upskilling. Not to forget the huge cost of marketing its activities and arrangements. One of the major requirements for a successful internationalization program is also providing scholarship to international students. A big challenge and constraint for the SARVAJANIK University to take these initiatives forward in the process of internationalization is funds. This is primarily because SARVAJANIK Education Society, under which the SARVAJANIK University is established, is a philanthropic organization working for over a century with the motto of providing affordable education. We are always pressed for resources. This is where it becomes important and imperative to explore options of funding and donations from public, private, national and international philanthropic foundations. Huge amounts of funds are also offered by international research organizations for doing research on various subjects, but it requires study and efforts to approach such foundations and research organizations with proper documentation, to place our credentials in front of them. At this point, I would like to humbly recognize the contribution of my very good friend from Leicester, UK, Mr. Mahendra Mistry, who introduced us to internationalism and guided us to these huge funding opportunities at the international level. If Mahendra Bhai is listening, thank you very much, Mahendra Bhai. But having known the direction, it is also very important to walk the road. In this context, I also recognize the tireless efforts put in by Professor Percy Engineer, who studied and critically explored these opportunities to put the systems in place. Now, with a very strong legacy of 112 years, a democratic setup and established credentials, tapping international funds should be fairly easy for SARVAJANIK and universities like us. Today, we have a very good time-tested model to work with and gain unlimited benefits from. We need to create many more such success stories with many more international funding and research programs. I challenge, and I repeat, I challenge the principals and management teams of all our constituent colleges to come up with well-defined roadmaps towards internationalizing their respective colleges. Finally, on behalf of the SARVAJANIK University, aided by the century-old SARVAJANIK Education Society, to all our guests present here from abroad and all our partners and associates joining us online and all stakeholders, let me give you a strong, loud and very clear message. We are positive, we are aggressive, and we are committed. So let us all join hands in a show of solidarity and cooperation with the aim to take our respective institutions to newer heights and in the process provide inclusive, equitable and affordable education to all. Thank you all for a patient hearing.
Thank you, sir. May I now request Professor Hardik Gandhi, International Relation Officer, Sarvajanik University, to make an announcement regarding the logo design competition of the program and its winners.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, dignitaries on the dais, off the dais, teachers, friends, colleagues, and my dear students. Before I announce the winners of a logo competition that we held for the project that we are doing, I would like to take a moment to explain the purpose of this, floating this logo competition design. Logos are normally considered as the face value of any of the service providers or a product. For example, Google, Microsoft, Apple, that we recognize from its logos. And that is why it actually reflects the value, morals, ethics, and quality assurance of any of the brands which provide service or products. Considering this entire philosophy, European Union also requests, and it is a mandate, that whenever you start any of the initiatives or any of the projects, a specially designed logo must be done for them to make sure that it is having a strong face value. And that is why it was supposed to be designed by the teammates, all the partner universities, but as a consortium we decided why not to involve the stakeholders, the students of all the partner universities, and that is why we created a brief and floated across the globe. And as part of this, more than 110 students participated across the globe and submitted their entries. This leads to amazing logos and taglines provided by all the students. So there was a team which was there and which was evaluating the logos designed by students. The students of engineering, students of design, students of management, students of commerce, students of sciences participated in this entire competition, and the logo was shortlisted. There were 10 logos shortlisted among 110 entries, and the logo which won the competition also strike surprise to us, because normally it is considered that in design, normally the students from design or let's say architecture, interior or fine arts will take the lead, but the results were really surprising. And the winner for out of this 110 entries, first two winners are from our university, Sarvajanik University, and the first winner is from management. Who else knows the value of creating a brand? Who else knows the value of creating a brand or a logo for any of the projects, or creating a face value of a project, or let's say some initiative? Before I announce the winners, I request Sri Bharat sir to kindly reveal the logo. Center. Yes. And now may I request the winner, Kajal Mistry from Luthra Institute of Management, to kindly come on the stage, and I request Sri Bharat sir to kindly give away the certificate and prize. May I now request Vidit Shah. The prize money is 15,000 for the first winner. Second winner is Vidit Shah from Faculty of Fine Arts, IDBT State SARVAJANIK University. The prize money for the second winner is 10,000 rupees. Along with that, we also had we also have to give away the certificates of participants. May I request all the students to kindly rise on the street as I mention the names. Khushi, Nancy, Gautam, Heta, Mihir, Meet, Vishwa, Dev, Nitant, Palak, Fenil, Jai, Ayushi, Kirmi, Shrusti, Khushi, Vishwa, Bansi, Vishakha, Sania, Nidhi, Rajvi, Zahabia, Deepal, Nakum, Sneh, Alesh, Nisha, Mahek, Ashmi, Zeel, Feridon, sorry for the name pronunciation, Bansi, Vishwa, Khushi, Srusti to kindly rise on their seat. I request Professor Krishnapriya to kindly come and just take the certificates on behalf of the students. You can take away the certificates once this event is over. Please hand it over to Krishnapriya. Yeah. Thank you so much. This logo will be displayed everywhere wherever we do this kind of events. It will also be printed on all the reports that we submit officially to the European Union, and it will always be there on any of the documents that we print henceforth. Thank you and congratulations to the winners.
Thank you, Professor Dhani. Person with humble heart, noble cause, and a visionary leader. May I please invite Mr. Bharat Shah, President SARVAJANIK University, Chairman SARVAJANIK Education Society, to present presidential speech to August gathering.
Good afternoon. See, I first of all welcome our dignitaries coming from the foreign countries. I on the dais, Mr. Our immediate past president, Rajesh Bhai Desai, our provost, Sri Percy Bhai Engineer, our internationalization committee chairman, Sri Rohit Bhai Mehta, our registrar, dignitaries on the dais, dignitaries of the dais, and all participants registered from the online from the other countries. On the occasion of Internationalization Week, I welcome all participants from India as well as from other countries. I also welcome all faculty members of SARVAJANIK University and SARVAJANIK Education Society and all my dear students. First of all, I congratulate our entire team, including Provost and Internationalization Committee Chairman, for organizing this event. As a President of SARVAJANIK University and Chairman of SARVAJANIK Education Society, I am proud and happy that we are embarked on this journey of internationalization, a journey which is still in the primary stages. Friends, SARVAJANIK Education Society, as said by our Rohit Bhai, is 112 years old society, and it is registered under the Charitable Trust Act. It is registered in the year 1912. Our founder, respected Sri Chunilal Gilabai Shah, has started a small English school with only 10 students as a protest against the expensive English educations of British government. Our founder's motto was to spread quality educations at affordable fees. And today, ACS Sarvajanic Education Society is running 35 educational institutions and having over 35,000 students from KG to post-graduation, including PhD scholars, studying under the umbrella of Sarvajanic Education Society and Sarvajanic University. And I am feeling so happy and proud to tell you that even today, after 112 years, we still continue to impart affordable value-based global educations to all and continue to spread and motto of our founding trustees. With the same ideology, we are accepting and we are giving quality educations to all our students at affordable rates. We are also very thankful to all our philanthropic donors who are donating us for this noble cause of education to students at affordable fees, and this makes us one of the biggest philanthropic society in the country. Our Sarvajanic Education Society is running completely, as said by Rohit Bhai, in a democratic manner. And any graduate can be the member of our society and also can be a part of the management. The Sarvajanic University was started in 2021 with 8 constituent colleges and imparts education in diverse fields of technology, biosciences, commerce, management, law, architecture, visual arts, planning, urban design, engineering, performing arts. We are very fortunate to be a young university, as since the inception we are able to reframe our curricula and bring it within the framework of the new and visionary National Education Policy 2020, that is NEP 2020. We have introduced more than 50 transdisciplinary, professional and liberal studies courses. We intend to start new courses and educate students as per the need of trade, industry and service sectors. We also want to put more weightage on skill-based educations, which will help our students to get the employment. Also, with our regular educations, we are also teaching our students the human values, that is ethics, morality, spirituality, humility and honesty. Our nation's past President of India, Honorable late Abdul Kalam, had said that our purpose of education is to make good human beings with skills and expertise. I am happy that Sarvajanic University is on the path of internationalization. Once again, the spirit of National Education Policy, which aims to bring higher education in India in tandem with standards of international education. It aims to make our students global citizens who will contribute towards creating an enlightened society. With this event, we once again open our doors to international higher educational institutions and look forward to increased collaborations, mobilities and capacity building programs between Sarvajanic University and international universities. May this mark the beginning of new exchanges, better cultural understandings, fruitful discussions, so that our students and children inherit a more peaceful, more equitable, more compassionate, and a more enlightened world for the progress of society and humankind. I also congratulate our students for the in competitions who have won the prize for the logo. It's a very good logo. It is a logo who shows to join the hands. And Again, I congratulate all the participants for participating in this beautiful event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, as we proceed towards the end of the part 1 of today's inaugural session, and before we commence the technical session and presentation, may I please invite Mr. Ashish Desai, in charge Registrar, Sarvajanik University, to propose a vote of thanks.
Dignitaries on the dais, dear faculty members, administrative staff and dear students. A very good afternoon and namaskar to one and all present here. On behalf of Sarvajanik University, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you who have graced us with your presence on this auspicious occasion of the inauguration of the Sarvajanik University International Week. First and foremost, I would like to express our deepest appreciation to our President of Sarvajanik University and Chairman Sarvajanik Education Society, Sri Bharatbhai Shah, for honoring us with his presence and for his inspiring words that have set the tone for this remarkable event. Thank you very much, sir. I am also thankful to Sri Rajesh Bhai Desai, immediate past President of Sarvajanik University, for your presence, sir. Thank you very much. I am also take note and thanks for the valuable presence of Sri Yatish Parekh sir, past Chairman Sarvajanik Education Society, Sri C.Y. Bhatt sir, his Chairman Representative IDPT SCAT, Nikki sir, we are also take note of your presence and thank you for being with us. I also extend a warm thank to our Provost, Professor Percy Engineer, whose unwavering support and guidance have been instrumental in making this International Week a reality, and also for conceptualizing this event. Thank you very much, sir. A special note of thanks to the Chairman of International Program Committee of Sarvajanik Education Society, Mr. Rohit Mehta, sir, for his guidance in organizing this event, which celebrates diversity and global collaboration. Our sincere gratitude goes to the distinguished guest, Ms. Juliana, International Relations, UN, Colombia, Professor Eloy Hernandez, UPCT, Spain, Professor Francisco Vera, UPCT, Spain, Professor Dr. Smats Subhasinghe from University of Peradeniya, Sri Lanka, along with Professor Jai Tilake, who have traveled from afar to join us today. Sir, all of your presence not only enriches this event but also strengthens the bonds of friendship and cooperation between our institutions. I am also thankful the representative of various Indian universities like Ganpat University, Charutar Vidya Mandir and D.Y. Patil University. Thank you all of you for being with us. We also acknowledge the virtual presence of our counterparts from foreign universities, Indian and Asian university guests who have joined us remotely. Your participation underscores the global nature of this event, and we are grateful for your commitment to fostering international understanding and collaborations. I'd also like to extend our sincere gratitude to our organizing committee, Special Professor Hardik Gandhi and his team, Internationalization Committee, and volunteers whose tireless effort behind the scene have been instrumental in orchestrating every aspect of International Week. A big round of applause for Professor Hardik and his team. We all are here only because of their tireless effort. Thank you all. Your hard work, creativity and attention to detail have ensured that this event unfolds seamlessly, providing us all with an enriching and memorable experience. I am also thankful to the hospitality committee who are taking care for all the resources required for the International Week. Thank you for being with us, all the members of hospitality committee. At last, I am also thankful to Master of Ceremony, Professor Sanaya Varyawa, for conducting this entire ceremony in a very beautiful way. Thank you. Last but not at least, I would like to express our gratitude to all the deans, staff, students who have joined us to make this International Week a grand success. In conclusion, let us use this week as an opportunity to engage in meaningful discussions exchange ideas, and forge new partnerships that transcend borders and enrich our collective knowledge and understanding. Thank you once again to everyone for your presence and support. Let us embark on this journey of international collaboration with enthusiasm and optimism. Thank you. Abar.
Thank you, sir. Now, as we know, the second session, the technical seminar starts. May I please invite Professor Percy Engineer. May I please request all the dignitaries to be please seated downstairs.
May I request all of you to remain seated? I understand that technical session may not interest you more, but I promise you that you will take away a lot of interesting things from here. All the students sitting on the steps may occupy the vacated seats. संध्या नहीं सुनोगे क्या हमें? A very warm good afternoon to all of you. All the students who are standing may decide whether you want to sit down or you want to vacate the place for somebody sitting on the steps. Thank you very much for taking your seats. Sorry for the delay, but it takes some time to connect to the world. But once you establish the connection, it's a long journey to go. Are you ready? Somebody who has joined online is fidgeting on the screen and drawing something. If you are very creative, please come and join School of Architecture at SKET and stop sketching on your screen. You are creating, I would not say difficulties, because at SARVAJANIK there is nothing called difficult. But if you can please stop sketching and pay attention to what I have to speak. May I know the name of the person who is sketching? It's gone? Okay. That's okay. That's okay. Let's start. Can I start? So good afternoon, friends. And I start my technical presentation about the project that we are doing which is a project which is co-funded by European Union. This is the second project that we are doing. In the first project, we were invited as partners for a project on internationalization of higher education in India and Nepal. And UPCT Spain was the coordinator of the project. But friends, let me tell you that the training that we got as partners from UPCT was so proper that probably we are the only institution, probably in the country, who in the very second experience is coordinating an international project. Normally you have to have an experience of a couple of projects as partners. But in the very second project we applied as a coordinator of the project, and our project was selected. And there is this project of fostering inclusive and equitable quality education to stimulate lifelong sustainable learning opportunities for HEIs in India. Short form is called INEQ-SL. Friends, I would like to share how we came down to this project. It is very interesting and very important that when you apply for a project, you have a purpose of what you want to study. And it all starts, can you go for the next slide? Let us make this presentation more easy. Yeah. It all started with a year ago when I was in Navi Mumbai for one of the visa, and I went to the McDonald's to eat a burger. And this is what I saw, that we are making our burgers more able. And what I saw was that the people serving burgers were physically challenged. And I asked that person that it is so interesting that you are working in a shop like this, and that is giving you good opportunity. He said, no, we are not just working. McDonald's have thought about a product which is specially made for physically challenged people. Then he said, what are you doing? So I said, I am a provost of a university. And then he said, I hate you. I said, why do you hate me? He said, I wanted to become an architect, but I could not become an architect because none of your architecture institution are disabled friendly. And therefore I could not study, thanks to McDonald's, that at least I have an employment. And then he showed me a movie just trying to play around. There are good people in this world and there are notorious people like this. Yeah. Hardik, don't worry. He'll make our presentation more interesting.
दरवाजे पर देकर दस्तक छोटे छोटे कुछ पल आए इनको ना छोड़ना हाथों को खोलना डिब्बे में देखो एक हंसी मिली डिब्बे में देखो एक हंसी मिली हाथों ने खुशियाँ चखी हाथों ने खुशियाँ चखी हाथों ने खुशियाँ चखी हाथों ने खुशियाँ चखी
It is the small things that makes us feel equal. And then he questioned me that what are you doing in education? It is your job to make a difference. And so true that education is the most powerful weapon that you can use to change the world. Mandela said this. And we very proudly as teachers and academicians flaunt this quotation. But McDonald's beat us. They were far more faster, better in not only employing the physically challenged, but also trying to create a packaging that can help a physically challenged person to eat. Is our product, is our package ready for that? And then when I came back, I was talking to Hardik that next time when we apply for a project, it may not be to do with architecture or design. Let's wait for what the United Nations want. And then it came up with the proposal 2023. And the 2023 was trying to talk about achieving of sustainable development goals. It was a one-line theme that you have to work towards SDGs that can create equitable society. And then I was reminded of this experience that I had in Mumbai 1 year ago. Then I talked to Hardik that Hardik, actually what that boy in McDonald's was trying to tell me that higher education institution can indeed change the world by achieving excellence in teaching, research and community service, by providing solutions for national, regional and global problems. Such an important statement. By providing solutions for national, regional and global problems, by contributing to the development of national capital, and by nurturing developments of research, intellectual properties and patents. By nurturing the world's future leaders, scientists, businessmen, physicians, thinkers and visionaries who can chart society's cultural, scientific and technological future. By contributing to the nation's human capital and technological transformation, including to its social and cultural identity, and by enhancing innovation, creativity, democracy, and encourage wise governance in economy, politics, entrepreneurship, justice, and equality. And therefore, higher education institution can certainly change the world by contributing to the economic and social development of improved public health, ecology, industry, economy, cross-cultural respect, and tolerance of diversity. So here we come to the understanding that yes, education can make a difference. But therefore, the universities have to make a difference. The universities have to be different because it is the universities that impart education. And therefore, universities should be global, egalitarian, that means it should believe that all people are equal and deserve equal opportunities and rights. It should be democratic, it should be diverse, it should be inclusive, it should be productive, it should be sustainable, it should be accountable, and it should be accessible. These are the few words that we realize that this is what education should be about, and this is what we should work on the international project. And then came the Mandela's second quotation, that it is not beyond our power to create a world in which all children have access to good education. Again, such a simple quotation, which we flaunt as academicians. But do we really make it accessible for all? And then we started looking at why is United Nations talking about the sustainable goals, and we realized that there is a Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 26.1, which says everyone has the right to education. Education shall be free at least in the elementary and fundamental stage. Elementary education shall be compulsory, and technical and professional education shall be made generally available. And all higher education institutions shall be equally accessible to all on the basis of merit. I know this many students sitting over here, I could hear one student saying to the one partner, "ये लोग fee क्यों लेते हैं हमसे?" But anyway, they are only saying elementary education should be free, but higher education and professional education should be accessible to all. So this beautiful statement was trying to create the premise of our project. I'm trying to build up the story why we decided to go in for this project. And therefore, this whole wording came into our project that we want to foster inclusive and equitable quality education to stimulate, this is important, lifelong sustainable learning opportunities for higher education in India. And then, as a part of any project, why I'm trying to present the integrity of project is because there are many teachers sitting over here who must get ready to apply for 2024 project. So it is mandatory that you have at least, for Erasmus Plus projects, you at least have 2 European partners. And then remaining could be Indian partners or Asian partners. So we decided that we will apply as coordinators because we came across this beautiful theme. And then we talked to Maite from UPCT, and she said, "No, Percy, you must apply as coordinator and we will guide you." And the whole team of UPCT was so supportive. They guided us all throughout. But before that, I must tell you that Erasmus Plus in our first project gave us an opportunity to send our teacher to UPCT for 1 full month to understand the process of internationalization and how to apply for this kind of projects. Where we had Hardik Gandhi had gone to UPCT, and when he came back, he was a changed person. Let me tell you, he was a changed person. And I knew that now I have an asset at home with whom we can prepare this international project. So we decided to be the coordinator, and then we have friends from CVM University as the partner. We have Ganpat University as the partner. We have D.Y. Patil College as a partner. And then we have UPCT from Spain and Riga Technical University, Latvia. 2 important aspects I want to talk about over here. One is, as today Indrajit was saying, that we are here because you have a habit of sharing opportunities. And I said no education institution can flourish unless it believes in sharing the knowledge, sharing the information, sharing the opportunity. And I only happen to be friends with the HOD of the Architecture School of D.Y. Patil, Mr. Sawant. And he said, "Percy sir, आप इतना घूमते हैं, foreign घूमते हैं, ये करते हैं, इतना collaborate करते हैं, तो हमको भी opportunity दो." One small statement on the WhatsApp, and I said, "Come over, let's join." And here D.Y. Patil was here. But this is not important. What is important is that when UPCT decided to help us, it not only helped us in preparing the project, it also got us one more international partner. That is the Riga Technical University in Latvia. And therefore it is important to collaborate with institutions. When you say I collaborate with one institution, it opens your door to another 10 institutions. And that is how this became beneficial. Rohit bhai, what you spoke was so beautiful that you open one door and it opens several more doors. So that's how we got Riga Technical University from Latvia. And then we formed a consortium, and then of course the online meetings started and we started designing our projects. And then in that process, because there were 2 universities that were not Indian and we had to apply to the European Union for the project, we started building up the premises and explaining to them that what is the kind of education system that we have. Because in India, we have an education system where few institutions are governed by the central government, few by the state government, few institutions are private, some are deemed, some are of national importance. Primary education in India is a state government prerogative, but under the central, we still have, under the Act of Parliament, some institutions which can teach but cannot offer degrees. The state universities normally are not supposed to teach, but they are supposed to affiliate institutions and are supposed to offer degree. The private universities like us, who can teach and also offer degrees, but we cannot affiliate institutions. We only have constituent colleges, and then of course we have deemed to be universities who can not affiliate but again teach and give degree, and then we have institutions of national importance. So there are hierarchies of institutions, and each of them have different roles to play. Some are allowed to only teach, and some are allowed to teach and offer degree, and some are allowed only to offer degrees. So this is the premise that we built up, and then we started understanding at a national level what is the scenario, and then we realized that there are about, this is 2021, now the numbers have gone much ahead because we as state government is in competition to create private universities. So after the numbers that we had, the number of institutions have increased. She's giving you some sign. Band ho gaya.
Message. Check the message.
Check the message. Yeah. So we have about 1,113 universities and about 43,796 standalone colleges. Colleges and standalone institutions of 11,296. And this is just the number, and I'll tell you why I'm talking about these numbers. If you see, in last 5 years, the state universities have only grown in each state from few numbers in single digit, either 6 universities or 7 universities or 10 universities. But if you see the growth in last 5 years in private universities, it has almost doubled. So in last 5 years, the scenario is that the private universities are growing faster in numbers, and the state universities, the government-sponsored universities, the granted institutions are not growing in that numbers. These figures will be useful later when we understand the perspective of Indian education. And this is what explains this. That between the age group of 18 to 23 who are potential students of higher education, we have about 22 million students who fall to this category. Out of that, 41% is rural and 59% is urban. But what is more important to note over here in this presentation is that out of 22 million, that is 22 crores, only 19% continue their higher education. 81% do not have access to higher education. They either join or they leave it, but they don't continue. So only 19% of the total population, that is 4 crores 13 lakhs 80,713 students, have enrolled in higher education. This is to be understood. And out of that, of course, 31% is rural and 69% is urban and 49% is female and 51% is male. All those is not very important. What is important is that out of the total population of 22 crores falling in this age group, only 4.13 crore students enroll for higher education. So the scenario where we are growing at a fast rate, but the total enrollment rate is not that extent what should cater to the total population of our country. What is more important is, out of this total 4,13,713 students, 65% students enroll in private universities or private institutions, and only 35% students enroll in public institutions. Not because they don't want to, but there is no access, there is no numbers, there is no seat available. So what are we doing? We want higher education to go up, but we are pushing students towards private universities whose fees are probably sometimes 20 times, 30 times, 50 times more than the government state universities. Again, that is a catch. It is also detrimental for lesser and lesser enrollment in higher education. I'm trying to build up the premise so you would all understand, especially not from India, is the scenario that otherwise on paper is very promising, but in reality things are a little different than what we need to do and why we took up this project. On the other side, when I showed you our first movie of McDonald's, the total population of physically challenged people between the age group of 18 to 23 is 7,53,136, right? Sorry, 2.68 crores. Out of that, only 7.53 people register for higher education. That is again 42% male, female, and 58% male. So that means access to higher education for physically challenged people is a very poor percentage. Very poor percentage. That means no matter how much policies we actually have, the figures are talking something else. And therefore that student hated me that he could not become an architect. So if you will read the statistics, if you will read the planning proposals, you will realize that all policies are in place and everything is beautiful, but in reality things are different. And then once we started studying more about the project, we realized that there are several reasons. There's not only financial reason, not only physically challenged reason, but there are reasons like disinterest, language barrier, low family income, getting married at an early age, which is also one of the problem for female students in India. We have to start earning for survival. Location of the institution, there is accessibility towards the institution, low employability post-education. This is also one of the very important aspects which we must understand, that there is very poor employability after studies, and that is also a discouraging fact. And as we just saw, that we are not equipped for disabled students. So based on this, we created the premise of our project. And the premise of the project is to aim to increase the accessibility of higher education in India for students with fewer opportunities, and provide a policy measure or a framework for equity and inclusion in higher education institutions in India by relying on digital technology and e-learning for vulnerable students. I will explain what I mean by this last line, but it is so very important because the future of education, next 5 years or 10 years, is going to be e-learning. So though this premise is to create better opportunities for education, but this project is also do it now or you perish. If we will not accept this change, if we will not adopt this change, let me tell you, all this beautiful infrastructure will be lying waste and we will not be getting students because things are changing. And therefore the specific objectives of this project was to identify the best remote and inclusive, I'll keep on using this word inclusive and equitable, which I'll explain later, learning pathways and opportunities for higher education, develop an inclusive methodology and curriculum framework for accomplishing the education. That is the Sustainable Development Goals, to provide sustainable learning opportunities. Third is to create digital technology for inclusiveness in educational learning. And the most important thing is to establish teaching and learning centers, TLC, at each target HEIs, it is higher education institutions in India. And therefore the specific objective is to ensure equal access for all women and men to affordable and quality education up to university, to eliminate the gender disparity in education, to upgrade education facilities that are disability and gender sensitive, to identify the best remote and the inclusive learning pathways and opportunities, to develop an inclusive methodology and curriculum framework, cater to the challenges for teaching and teachers. This is also important because we'll have to cater to the challenge. The teachers and teaching also is a big challenge in trying to create education for all. Establishing digital technology and establishing teaching and learning centers, that is TLC. Now I come to the premise of the project, that while we were designing the project, we wanted to make sure, anybody listening in European Union will be laughing at this moment, because we wanted to make sure that let us use terminologies, jargons, concepts, intents and fundas which will immediately be picked up and impressed a concerned government organization like United Nations. So we decided that we will, in our project, cater to 2 Sustainable Development Goals at SDG 4, which is pronouncing quality education for all by 2030. So we caught this word, and therefore we use the word sustainable and lifelong learning. And SDG 8, Sustainable Development Goal 8, is talking about decent work and economic growth. So we decided that we will try to capture these 2 SDGs and use all those words that I talked about in the first few slides about what education can do. And that is, and to my students, most of you are in professional courses, remember, when you bid for tenders, when you bid for projects, when you bid for contracts, when you bid for work, you have to be a good salesman. You must know what the client wants, what the authority wants. This is what I want to highlight, that while designing the project, we picked up those keywords and then worked on those keywords. And that's how this whole premise was being designed. And therefore, whom this project will, because we wanted to tell your opinion, whom will this project cater to? It will cater to gender identities, it will cater to the social cultural identities, it will cater to the geographical identities. And this will be explained, because when I talk about the percentage in rural education, you will understand the geographical identities. It will address the disabilities, especially physically challenged and visually impaired. And it will also impact the socio-economic conditions, especially with the ones that come from relatively low income rate. One more thing that we learned from internationalization and international exposure, that whenever you are assigned a task, you break down those tasks into smaller parts. This WP1 means work package 1, work package 2, work package, and I learned this from Maite and Bia and everybody in UPCT, that no matter how difficult the project is, you break down into possible sections and then work on it with each of these work packages having their objective. So we decided to break down these work packages. And then another thing that I learned from this international university is to make a timeline. Unless you don't make a timeline, the start time and end time and what is going to overlap with each other, you can never accomplish your task. My daughter, I think she just left, but she always gets angry when I talk about plan your life, plan your life. But this is what I mean when I say plan your life. We made project timelines. So if you see the arrow, we are at March 24, and if you see the WP1, it is supposed to be ended in January 24. And let me tell you, we have completed work package 1 on time, and the report is submitted. And as per the project requirement, we had to make a project report presentation worldwide. And that is what we are doing today. So we decided that the internationalization week should start with accountability. We should tell the students, we should tell our teachers, we should tell our friends that it was not just planning the project timeline, but we did it, and this is what we have done, and that accountability has to be expected from a university like SARVAJANIK University. So this WP1, WT, I'll just, you can just read them, but I'll go fast. That WP1 was to identify the best remote and inclusive learning pathways and opportunities for education. So we first wanted to identify. Second was to develop an inclusive methodology and curriculum framework. Third was to decide and work upon the digital technology for inclusiveness. Fourth was to decide on innovative teaching and learning methods. Fifth was disseminate. It is so important. You may do research, but it should not lie in the shelf of your library. You must disseminate information. You should disseminate knowledge. So work package 5 was dissemination. And then through dissemination, create a sustainability plan. That this project is of 3 years, but that does not mean that once the project is over, it just goes on the shelf. It should continue, and it should vibrate, and you should see the life of that project years after years after you have completed the project. And for that, WP6 was quality plan. It's so important that you must design a quality plan which will showcase how this project will keep on working even after the timeline is over. And then the last important thing is management and communication. So during the WP1, two teachers from each partner institutions were invited to UPCT Spain, and they were specially given training. They were specially taken to all NGOs, they were specially taken to all hospitals, they were specially taken to all institutions which impart education or which take care of any kind of disability. So for 1 month, all these beautiful people from each college spent 1 month in UPCT, and let me tell you, the project funding takes care of this travel. European Union does not only give you project, but it also gives you funding. And it gives you funding in advance. The students will enjoy listening to this. Before we could embark on the project, the European Union gave us 2.49 crores already deposited in our account as first installment, not as the first installment. And then, because I remember when there were two teachers about sharing. This project was principally done by architecture department, but we had teachers from all colleges, and then we sent teachers from Luthra College. And before they went, we gave them the check that this is your travel money, this is your accommodation money. And I still remember him coming and saying कि ये पहली बार ऐसा हुआ है, first time is something like this, that we are getting money before we travel, before we do some project. I think that is what European Union wants, that it wants that you fund the person who intends to study in advance, so that there is no excuses left. And that is what they did. They went to Spain, they did a 1 month study. When they came back, they kept on traveling across the country to various institutions to study how we can help the physically challenged people. And then, as a part of work package 1, here's the beautiful girl in pink. Am I too boring? Listen to me. Thank you. Yeah. So, what were the lessons that we learned? The lessons that we learned, I tell you, I can promise to my friends, have patience. As I build up the premise of this explanation, I will try to be as interesting possible. But when you leave this hall, you will go with a commitment to yourself that I am going to make a difference in future for this society. So listen to me carefully. Ultimately, it is all about how much force that you have emotionally inside to make a difference. So we realize the academic reform, that is, we need to have inclusive curriculum. We need to have pedagogical reforms. It was a mind-changing experience for all this people who went there. They came back and said, sir, we require a big pedagogical reform. We'll have to change the way we should teach and examine. And of course, technological integration, flexible and evaluation system. We should also work on capacity building of training of trainers. We should talk about advocacy of inclusive policy and equity plan, and we should have to create conducive environment. We must create financial support. That's what Rohit Bhai mentioned. That we will have to create scholarships, create scholarship corpus, and special funds for technological upgradation. You can't teach the present generation with the same technology by which we learned architecture or engineering or Rohit Bhai. But that's what we are doing just now. We are doing a big crime with our present students, I admit, but things will change very soon. And of course, we need to create awareness, education and awareness, community engagement, because unless you don't build community together, you cannot accomplish this huge task. Collaborative methodologies and parental involvement and awareness. This is also important because in our case, the child would want to study, but it is more important that the parents are aware that my child requires different kind of support, different kind of help, and he is not normal, and that kind of awareness should also come amongst the parents. And therefore, now to explain the work package 1, these are the few parts in which I am going to explain my presentation, because now I actually come to the presentation of work package 1. I build up the premise why we did this project and how we did this, how we are going to do this project, but now I am going to come to the exact technical presentation that is required by norms today. So the WP1, that is work package 1, will focus on understanding the present scenario of inclusive, equitable, accessible education and digital competency, and identify some action plans as way ahead. Listen to this word. We need to, first part is to understand the present scenario of inclusive and equitable education. And for that, we decided that let's do one thing. We make teams who will study the global perspective on inclusive and equitable education. Another team will study Indian perspective. A third team will study scenario on accessibility of technology. The fourth team will study government policies and initiatives. And the fifth team, after all of them have done their studies and along with them try to identify the opportunities and gap. So we decided that we are going to study this work package 1 in this 5 essence. So to understand the global scenario, we again went back to United Nations documentations and their meeting, and we realized that according to the report on Universal Declaration of Human Rights of the UN General Assembly in Paris in 1948, can you imagine that this philosophy is not now, recent, it is since 1948, just 1 year after our independence. And the paragraph 1 of the Article 26 highlights the importance of equity in higher education institutions, and that is everyone has the right to education, and that is what is the global expectation. Education shall be free, at least in the elementary and the fundamental stages, as I explained, and technical and professional education shall be made generally available, and higher education shall be equally accessible to all on the basis of merit. So this is the international premise of education for all. That was one thing that we studied. As we went ahead, keeping in view with the same article 26.1 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, there was a World Conference on Higher Education in Paris in 1998. And they came up with the World Declaration on Higher Education for 21st century. Because we all know that as we came closer to 2000, everybody started talking about 21st century. And its vision and action emphasized on equity of education, that admission to higher education should be based on merit, capacity, efforts, perseverance and devotion showed by those, this is important, showed by those seeking access to it. That means if anybody wants admission in a particular institution, particular course, particular program, particular discipline, right? The admission should be based on the merit, capacity, efforts, perseverance and devotion shown by the person seeking it, and can take place in a lifelong scheme. It does not mean 4-year program, 3-year program, 5-year program. At any time, with due recognition of previously acquired skill. That is what we are saying, ABC, academic bank credit. But it is coming now, but this was part of the higher education for 21st century in the Paris Convention. And anytime, that means you can complete your studies any time of your age. And as a consequence, we have to understand that no discrimination can be accepted in granting access to higher education on the grounds of race, gender, language, religion, economic, cultural, social distinctions or physical disability. So this is so well defined at the global level, even in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And that means we have to ensure that the curriculum, teaching method, school infrastructure, recreational spaces, transportation, and all facilities accommodates all students across all levels. So this is what is the global expectation, this is what is the global scenario. This is important. Yeah. When we talk about the global scenario, they talk about two important words. One is the aspect of equity, and the second aspect is inclusion and equality. In equity, it makes sure that the social and personal characteristics such as gender, financial, class or ethnic heritage allow people from realizing their full potential in the school. And the second, when I talk about inclusion and equity, it ensures that every individual has access to a basic education, including the capacity to read, write and do simple maths operation. Here it is important. Now I am going to explain to you the difference between equity and equality. Majority of us mistake that when I talk about equity and when I talk about equality is the same. But let me give you a small, very basic example. If I have 10 loaves of bread and there are 5 hungry people, and I will give 2 loaves of bread to each, that is equality. Because we all say that we are equals, treat us equal. But now what is happening is, the first person whom I gave 2 loaves has a hunger of only 1 bread. So he is wasting on 1 bread. The second person whom I gave 2 loaves, he has hunger of 3 bread. So in spite of having equality, I am wasting 1 loaf of bread at one place, and I am depriving one person of full satisfaction and things like this. This is equality. Equity means you give the number of loaf of bread exactly the way they want. Jisko ek ki bhook is, the one who wants 1, give him 1. The one who wants 2, give him 2. The one who wants 3, you give him 3. And that's how you, but of course you can't do it more than 10. So you have to follow the concept of equality, keeping in mind the premise of equity. So this is what is important as far as quality education is concerned. So we'll have to have both the terminology in our project, equity and equality. So now when we, let's come to some figures. Right? According to the data compiled by HESA, that is Higher Education Statistic Agency based in England, the total HEIs in operation in 3 continents, Africa, Asia and Europe, it increased from 58,000 to 88,000 in just 2 decades. That means we almost had a rise of 30,000 institutions in last 2 decades. But 52, that is 52% increase almost. But half of this increase happened in Central and Southern Asia. I'm sorry, but I have to have something. So, half of this global rise was in Central and Southern Asia. Out of this, India had contributed 74% rise in the total number. This is again the catch which I showed you in the first slide. The private universities in India are growing so fast that we could contribute to 74% of total number of HEIs rising in last 2 decades. This is talking about the enrollment. In last 2 decades, the enrollment of students rise from 19% to 40%. But after this total rise, it is 3 continents. Central and Asia contributed to the maximum, that is 268% rise in enrollment. That is, this 19% of global learners from in 2000 to 40% in 2020 was majorly contributed by enrollment in Central Asia and India. But now comes that bubble diagram where I showed the rural population. Though it increased by almost 100% from 19 to 40. Globally, only 1.7% children born in rural area enroll to higher education. So can you imagine that the rural scenario of education globally is so poor, and that is how we as India cannot just be proud of saying that we have the highest enrollment or the highest number of higher education, but we'll have to do something about rural education. And this is also supported by the Right to Education Act of 2009, but there are several studies which also indicate that there is a sudden surge in number of people wanting to study, but there is yet many unfinished goals. The true incorporation of equity and inclusivity in higher education is yet not met. The societal hierarchies and geographical constraints and economic disparities continue to cast shadow on the academic ambitions of many Indian aspirants. And while the private sector has an important asset in establishing new university, because now only private establishments are coming up, and colleges, its reach for marginalized communities remain rather elusive. These are the 3 important numbers that you must understand. Enrollment is getting higher, number of higher education is getting more and more better, but they are out of the reach of majority of the people. That means we are not actually catering to the equity of education. We are only trying to create equal opportunities, but we are not trying to create equitable opportunities for all our students. And therefore, this slide is already shown before, that only 19% of the total population register for higher education, and only 12% of disabled students have opportunity for higher education. So, this study was then to be supported by actual figures. So we decided to go in for case studies, and we made questionnaires, and we approached the principals, the teachers, the students, the management, the parents, We also approached many people in cities, urban area and rural area about digital competence of the students. And our finding was like this. These figures look very promising, but let me explain. 90% of the institutions said that yes, they have economically weaker section in higher education. Only 10% refused that they don't have. But this is because we have a policy for economically weaker section. We have a reservation policy. So 90% of the institutions said yes in that. But when we talked about physical disability, 73% of the institution said yes, that they have students with physical disability in their college. I'm not talking about whether they are capable of doing that, but they said yes, we have students with physical disability now, 73%. So the next question was, do you have students with learning disability? And there only 8% came up with that. That means for us, in our policies, any physically challenged or disability is only constrained to physical disability and not to mental disability. Then we asked that, do you have approach to the government admission policy for diversity that is physically challenged? So 95% of people said yes, we have. But now comes the catch. The next question was that if you have to teach physically challenged, people could be having hearing impaired, people could be having less vision, are you having an inclusive curriculum? And 90% of people said no, that we don't have any provision in our curriculum. Only 10% said we have a provision. That means we only have policies, but there is no policy about curriculum, so we have not bothered to incorporate education into our policy. Then we asked teachers that, do you have inclusive teaching methods? All the teachers said yes, we teach the physically challenged people. So 73% people said that we have. So we asked, but do you have an inclusive evaluation system? If you have a teaching method, teaching technology to these challenged people, do you have an evaluation method? And only 10% said yes. So most of these answers were only created to fill the NAC and the NBA forms. Whether you are physically challenged, universally designed institution, yes, we have a ramp and an elevator which is always locked. Right? No sarcasm here, but this because it's my institution. But if somebody is going to ask me as a university provost, I'm going to say, yeah, we cater to the physically challenged student. I've got 2 metal ramps, one at the civil department, one at the architecture college. But can that boy go to the toilet with the wheelchair? Can he go to the first floor? No. So we have records mentioned in our books, but we don't have in real practice. And if we have in real practice, we have nothing to do with evaluation methods. Then we talked about competency, digital competency, and what we realized that 97% actually said, including rural and urban, that they had access to smartphone with internet connection. This is so beautiful. 97% says that they have smartphones. Because we see memes on Facebook that sometimes we have to ask our domestic help to set up something on our mobile and we would not know it. They are so fast in that. So the next question was, do they have access to personal laptop, and about 57. That means digital literacy is doing good. We also asked them whether you have access to internet, and majority of them said quite often, very often. Very few people said, only 4% said never. Do you have personal computers or laptop in the institution? And again, it was balanced, 50%, 40% saying yes or no. Right? Knowledge of accessing computers in lab, again, 80% saying yes and 20% saying no. What we could realize from this, that technology is accessible to all, irrespective of where that person is staying, in rural area or urban area. So that means one step where we can confidently say that there is digital competency if we want to cater to people using the digital competency. And then we said, okay, what are the Indian scenario? If we can know this, why isn't the government knowing this? So we realized that yes, even government has several policies on digital learning. Right? They have a campaign launched by the government of India to make its services available to citizens electronically via improved online infrastructure and by increasing internet connectivity. And we have series of services through internet connectivity. So that means we realize that the government has policies in place. But what we found out that in education, they have free online education through Swayam. Only 8.8% students globally take advantage of this Swayam. So that means I have opportunity of digital competency, I have access to digital network, but I don't have intent to take advantage of the program designed by the government. Similarly, the National Digital Library of India, only 7.7% students take benefit. NEET, National Education Alliance for Technology, only 6%, and ePathya, only 3.7%. So there is a gap between what is available and what is the intent and what is the utility of those educational programs. So we said, let's identify these gaps. Unless we will not identify these gaps, this is important, students. Why? See, the way I'm proceeding further in my presentation, step by step, I'm trying to create data, and then I'm trying to find solution by identifying the gaps. So what we realized, that most important thing is, we may have all these portals online, we may have technology, but what we lack is trained resources. Teachers are not trained to deliver the inclusive curriculum. Because even in villages, these e-portals are available, but we have to teach our teachers to train the students, and therefore we will have to train the trainers before we embark on the journey of inclusivity and equitable education. So we realize that the first solution we need to bring is to train the trainers. Second gap identification was lack of accommodative infrastructure. That is, HEIs of India don't have physical infrastructure to support any kind of disability to access classroom or computer lab, which I just mentioned. Moreover, higher education institutions don't have equipped even computer labs to provide teaching and learning platform which is for all. If I have to teach somebody who is having hearing impairment or visual impairment, I cannot teach in the normal classroom. I'll have to require technology and computer labs for this. We are not ready for that. So even that will have to be created to accommodate all people that will need this kind of facilities. We have lack of inclusive curriculum. An inclusive curriculum is one that allows for diversity of content, material, ideas and methods of assessment. HEIs don't have vision or aspiration to upgrade the curriculum which is for all. So we will have to work on our curriculum, and that is what this consortium will work upon. So when we will come with remote learning, we will also come with a curriculum. Lack of inclusive evaluation system, because HEIs don't conduct same examination for all due to lack of visionary approach towards inclusivity and equity. It is high time to have reforms in evaluation system, examination pattern. Because if you try to judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, the fish is going to live all his life believing that it is stupid. And that is happening with major of our students. We have a uniform evaluation system with which we evaluate all. And I give a live example in my own house. My wife Babis. We call her a walking encyclopedia of architecture or art or history. But the moment you give her a mathematical problem, she will almost start crying. Now if I start judging Babis with how much mathematics she knows, so I must tell you this, she appeared for a board exam and took science because at that time, oops, ये क्या हो गया? It was not judged. Anyway, when students clap, it means two things. Either I was very good, or it means, sir, please stop it. What is it? Thank you. Okay. So, when Babis appeared for board exam, क्या हो गया? क्या हुआ? Start to रिमोट एजुकेशन पे मैं प्रेजेंटेशन दे रहा हूँ, रूरल तक लेके जाने की बात कर रहा हूँ, और यहीं पे फेल हो गया. चैलेंजेस ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी. बैटरी थोड़ा सा बैटरी मजो में स्विच ऑन नहीं होता. तारो नाम यूसुफ ने, सो नाम जी भाई परवेज भाई टेक्नोलॉजी को हाँ मैं वापिस की बात कर रहा, तब तक मैं वापिस की बात कर रहा हूँ. So she appeared for 12th exam and she took mathematics, science, PCM because she wanted to become maybe a designer or maybe a doctor or something like that. And she failed in mathematics. She failed in mathematics. But she had no other option. If she wanted to take a professional course, she had to take mathematics. So then she went to a counselor. And then the counselor said, you are a brilliant student, but don't take mathematics, you take something else. So next year she took her admission again in 12th in art stream, and she was the state topper in 12th standard. So this is what it is. If you try to judge a fish by its capacity to climb a tree, the whole life the fish will think that it is a stupid creature. This is what I wanted to explain. So we will have to have an inclusive evaluation. The project officer wants to say something, but not at this moment. The fifth lack of exposure to global practices is management. This is important. Management and staff do not have exposure to global practices to inclusive and equitable education. It is so important that if you want to embark on this journey of creating and bringing good global practices, you yourself will have to first have global exposure. Unless you don't have this paradigm shift in your own minds and you don't want to change and learn something, it is impossible that you can bring in to your institution. We don't have strategies and policies to address the inclusivity and equity. That is, HEIs don't have adequate policies to address inclusivity and equity in education. In case the policy is in place, it is not followed efficiently. This laptop was on charging, but it was not being charged. So sometimes you have a policy, but maybe those policies are not working, and that is required that you require strategy to make sure. Because just 2 days before I was in this management college and I was in the inaugural program, and I was telling them that as a leader, the most important thing is you have to design strategy. But the second most important thing after you have the strategy is to develop a system which will make those strategies work. This is what it means, that we will have to design strategy and then we'll have to create a system to ensure that the strategy works. Institutional priority, it is so important. Due to less number of enrollment, lack of policies, lack of government support and poor success ratio, HEIs don't prioritize inclusive approach. Even the management don't support financially challenged program. Friends, when the moment any program have less admission, the first approach to the management would be, let's close this branch. But if everybody starts closing this branch, and imagine a society where you will only have information technology engineers and computer engineers, because everybody wants to become now information technology engineers, and imagine you don't have electrical engineers, imagine you don't have mechanical engineers, because everybody is closing down those colleges. This is important that we will have to now work on priorities that is necessary for the society and not just for your financial bank balances. Insufficient, any problem behind? Yeah. Insufficient fund allocation. HEIs don't have funds to address specific needs of specially able students facing financial challenges. So we will have to create a mechanism of scholarship. Just few days ago, we gave away scholarship more than 40 lakh rupees. And now we are building up that scholarship fund. Let me tell all the students that these scholarship figures are going to multiply in the coming time, and we want to make sure that our budget, our economy is not dependent on fees that we collect from the students. So we are as a university working on that lines where we will not depend on the fees that we have to collect, and therefore we want to bring down the need of higher fees from each student in higher education. Employability, the most important aspect of gap identification was providing employment to specially able students. It of course is a challenge. And the most important thing is acceptance in the industry of the specially able children. So we will have to create tie-ups, as Rohit Bhai was mentioning in the morning, that university will have to create tie-ups with industry, with corporate world, so that they not only employ students who are good, but they also employ students who are, or young youth who are challenged. And there is work opportunity for all. But we will have to create a tie-up, and that is what is one of the solutions. So these are the gap identification and solution. The last part of my presentation is action plan. Harsh. But let me tell you, when you go out from here, you will, I always like to boast about the kind of work that I do, so I'm very happy that I'm sure I'm making a good presentation and you will like it. But I can promise you that you will take away some good spirits from here, a good agenda of life from here. So the action plan is to work on the curriculum framework, work on the inclusive content, work on the teaching learning methodology, work on the inclusive delivery platform, and then fair assessment. So these are the 4 or 5 aspects on which we would like to design our action plans. And therefore, the most important thing that we will do is we will design a digital platform which will be accessible to all. But we will make it at no cost. We will actually make it at no cost. And that is where we will try to achieve the Sustainable Development Goal 4, the SDG 4, that we are going to make education available to all through the design of this digital platform without any cost. And then we will try to achieve the SDG 8, that is focus on the employability through tie-ups with various industries. Students, hold on, have patience. You think you have got admission in this university and your half work is done. But let it not remain half, because the remaining half will be done only after you get employment. So let your university work towards getting you a better employment, and therefore have patience and appreciate my presentation. Okay, so how will we achieve this project, how will we make this project successful? The most important thing is we will make it accessible. Because we know India is a big, diversified country in terms of geography. Students who live in remote or underdeveloped locations where it may be difficult to establish physical campuses can now attend higher education through remote learning. And additionally, it will eliminate the educational gap between the urban and the rural. So what we are trying to say is, when we talked about the percentage of urban and rural education, we want to let this education to reach all, irrespective of the geographical location. That is, we want to make it accessible. Second important term is scalability. The students of management will appreciate this word of scalability. Without the need for substantial physical infrastructure, remote learning enables higher education institutions to expand their program and attract a larger student body. This may assist in meeting India's rising demand for higher education. Friends, this is important. The next decade is actually going to be on digital platform. Students are not going to actually come to the institution physically to study. And that is what we will have to do. We will have to make our educational opportunity, our educational contribution as university available to all on a larger scale. We cannot depend on a small catchment of South Gujarat region to get our students. Our catchment should be now not only Gujarat, not only India, but should be globe. And to have our catchment of students globally, this is what we'll have to work. We have to work on our scalability. We'll have to work on adaptive learning. That is, remote learning system may include adaptive learning tools that evaluate students' progress and modify assignments and content to better meet each student's needs. We will have to teach them what each one has to study, wants to study, needs to study. You cannot have a model curriculum which can teach all students across the institution. We will have to kind of work on it, and that is what it means adaptive learning. We will have to personalize. It is so important. Once again, I say that there are people who are learning architecture, and we all want them to become designers. But we realized a few years ago that when students join architecture, there are some who are good in writing. And then we push them towards architecture journalism. There are some who are very great in imagination, They are very poor in function. So we teach them that you must design film sets and television sets. There are some who are so good in technology, and so we push them towards animation and filmmaking. And in last 10 years, I must tell you that more than 30% of my architecture graduates are not practicing architecture design as a profession, but they are practicing architecture journalism, they are practicing dramatics, they are practicing set designing, they are practicing filmmaking. One of my gold medal students is one of the best filmmakers and advertising making in the country now. So this is important that you personalize your education, even if it is he is trying to gain a similar degree. We'll have to build communities. We will have to build communities of learners. I know all the Apple users, the moment you have a problem, you go to the community and you put your problem. And immediately the people will start answering it. Similarly, we'll have to build up communities which will ensure that which person requires what type of education, and they will try to fund, they will try to create opportunities for students to study even in the remotest area. So we will have to build community, and that will be also part of this project. We will have to be flexible. It means students can learn from any location at any time with remote learning technology. We talked in the beginning that many of the students stop learning, drop off from the school because they have to start employment. Now you can't say that you stop employment. See, we have those kind of policies where we don't have child labor. But we fail to understand that by just stopping child labor, we are not helping the family because the family needs money. So there are a lot of other ways to reach out to those people, and therefore this kind of flexibility that you can learn anywhere, anytime, and whatever suits you. That kind of flexibility we'll have to bring. We'll have to make it cost effective. And of course, when I say it is going to be free, we will have to make cost effective. That means you'll not have to invest in infrastructure, we don't have to invest in labs, we don't have to invest in softwares. Everything will be readily available on the portal, and therefore one of the ways action plan is going to be cost effective. This should have language diversity. When I say language diversity, because now we see that the southern states would not like to talk in Hindi, and the other state would say that you go away because you don't speak Marathi or whatever, etc., etc., etc. But Government of India very beautifully in its NEP, National Education Program, advocates that students should be allowed to learn in his mother language. Because it is now scientifically proved that your grasping level, your understanding level is better in your mother language. So by this remote technique, learning, teaching technique, we will have language diversity, and therefore we will remove one more barrier from learning and teaching for the students. And of course, by this we will be giving quality education. I have students who are admitted in one of the nearby university. I will not name it, but in that university, there are no teachers, there is no education. So they come and they just say that, okay, at the end of 16 weeks, you just come for the examination. And even if you don't come for the examination, at the end of 4 years, you come, we'll give you a degree. So there are students who are admitted in such universities, but then they are children of my friends, and they come and ask me, Percy, can my son or daughter sit in your class? Because he wants to study. He did not get admission in your college, so he took admission in that college, but he wants to study. This is important. Through this technology, we will not deprive any student wanting to gain knowledge from any institution. It is now not going to be institutional centric information or education. It is going to be easily. So if tomorrow I want to learn, get some credit from Stanford, I can get it from Stanford. If I know that this X university is good in humanities and this X university is good in technology and good this, I will be able to take my credits from those universities. That means I will be able to get quality education, being in the same place without investing money. And that is what this portal is going to provide. And of course, the government floats proposals, policies. We want that we incorporate all the government initiatives embedded into our own program. So there are many people who will not know what are the government beneficiary programs. We will make sure that these programs reach out to the people. So we will try to create a bundle of all the government initiatives also, along with our curriculum, and put it in the program. So it is not enough to teach, but it is also important to create employability. And there could be government policies, government initiatives which will try to link your education with the employability. So we will also try to link the government initiatives with our education. And last and most important, international collaboration. It's going to be, if not today, you are gone. We will have to understand that we will have to bring international standards here. I must give you this example. The scenario of 12th admission. Every year the president would ask me that how many admissions happened in this branch and which branch did not do well. And what we realize that the number of students who pass out for the 10+2, that is 12th qualifying exam, is huge. But the number of students who are admitted in higher education in India is less than 50%. Where are they going? There is a very strong flow of Indian students who go abroad in undergraduate education for several reasons. What we want to do is, through international collaboration, we want to tell them that you did not go anywhere now in the world. If you really want international standards, we will be able to give it to you. So it is this digital platform that will bring in international collaboration, and through international collaboration, we will try to create a society where the education institutions promise global education not only in their vision and mission statement. All of us, agar hamara bhi mission statement, if you read, it will say we want to provide global value-based, but now it should not restrict it to our vision and mission statement. It should come down to actually executing the aim and objective of a good university. And that is what we want to do through international collaboration. We want to take advantage of the digital literacy that we have in India, and at the same time we want to create an upgrade by training and learning centers, by creating training and learning centers. And this TLC will be created on PPP mode. There are people who want to come into academics. There are people who are philanthropic and want to contribute to in academics. And there are corporate worlds as far as CSR, there is corporate social responsibility, who also want to come in academics. We will try to rope in all these people, convince them to take advantage of the digital literacy, and convince them to set up the TLC, that is teaching and learning centers, in the remote area. So along with just trying to create a software, along with just trying to create an equitable situation, we will also want to create opportunities for philanthropic people, for corporates, for people who want to contribute, or for people who want to turn into, convert academics into business, to come and join hands with us and be part of delivering equitable education. Last important 13 number is professional development for professional. In the rural areas or in the urban areas, we have people who are welders, who are mechanics, who are X-ray technicians. We want to provide a CEP, continuous education program, because in our project we said sustainable lifelong learning. So with the last objective, we want to create a continuous education program for professionals to upgrade. I must tell you that if we teachers do not upgrade, be ready to sit at home in the next 10 years. If the doctors don't upgrade, they should be ready to sit at home in the next 5 years. The engineers are already sitting home. The architects are already sitting home. Because if you actually see, with 24,000 seats of architecture admission in the country, the number of students who appear for entrance exam is only 12,000. So that is showing that the architects are probably sitting home. The profession is taking the graph down. This is happening because professionally, we are not making ourselves very important to the society. And once the society feels that this particular profession or this particular professional is not so important, the graph goes down. So what we want to do is we want to develop the professional skills of each professional through CEPs, that is continuous education program. And it is only through this we will be able to create a digital platform which will be accessible to all, but at the same time, it will be a lifelong sustainable education policy for all. So with this, yeah, the last important thing. In the pandemic, we saw that the conventional education system failed, right? And to that extent, that the most positive word, positive was the most negative. The moment someone says, oh, I tested positive, and you wanted to run away from that person. And that was pandemic. So it changed almost 180 degrees of our paradigms. This learning models will be pandemic prepared. No matter what comes, Russia may put one more bomb on Ukraine, the education will still continue. I'm just informed that in Sri Lanka, they stopped education for 2 years during pandemic, right? So all the students, wherever they had studied, they started studying the same class after 2 years. Am I right? That's what you said 2 days ago. That means maybe India was pandemic ready and we could do it. I don't talk about the quality of our readiness, but we were ready. But maybe Sri Lanka was not ready. But this technology will be pandemic ready. No matter what happens, we will still continue imparting education to all. So this is the end of our presentation, where we talk about the 6 colleges, universities that came together for a better future with one single understanding that education is the most powerful weapon that you can use to change the world. We are convinced that we will try our best to change the world. And with this, I would like to extend greetings from Team SARVAJANIK University, who is working on this project with me and as the legal representative, with Rakesh and Neeraj contributing to the humanity aspect of it, Hardik contributing to the planning aspect of it, Hemlata and Pratik C contributing towards the management and the statistics and survey aspect of it, and Charlie Patel from contributing towards the physical need, the information and technology need. So with this one slide, I want to convey that now we will also have to cross physical boundaries of our campuses, of our institution, and when we make a team, we should go as Team SARVAJANIK University and not Team IDPT and not Team SCAT and not Team SRKI. But the moment we will remove these boundaries and we will make Team SARVAJANIK University or Team SARVAJANIK Education Society, I think nothing can stop us from changing this world. So with this, I end my presentation and thank you very much for listening. The project leader, Jordana, she is in Belgium. She is the leader of this project leader of this project. She wanted to say something. Jordana, I'm sorry I did not let you speak in the middle of my presentation because normally I get very nervous when I'm asked to stop, so I didn't want it to get nervous.
I wanted just to profit because I saw that you had problems in connecting and that's it. So I wanted to just, because unfortunately I will have to go to another meeting now, but I wanted to say hello to everybody, to present myself. I'm your project advisor and I'm your contact person for the executive agency for education and culture, and I really thank you for your presentation because it was really very interesting and it shows that your project is fully in line with the European priorities, in particular for Erasmus Plus and capacity building in higher education. So it's really very I was very happy to hear it, and it was really very interesting also to have this confirmation, because of course when we select the project we have this idea, but then it's also very important that the ideas that were indicated at the moment of the selection are also proved during and implemented during the life cycle of the project. So I wanted really to thank you for this to thank you all for the nice work that you are doing, and I hope that we will have other opportunity also to meet physically or online, and I wish you all a very nice work today and also in the further and in the future implementation of your project. And so that's it. So thanks a lot for giving me the chance also to say hello to everybody.
Thank you so much. It means a lot. And this comes from the project officer of Erasmus Plus and Jordana. We are so happy, and it really makes us feel satisfied that yes, we have done our job right. And I indeed look forward to seeing you someday in our city, in our university, and I extend my invitation on behalf of the management. Anytime you want to visit India and Surat, you are most welcome to be our guest. We are just one WhatsApp away. You just send a message and the rest will be all arranged. We look forward to seeing you.
Yes, you are very nice and very, very kind, and I hope also that we'll be able to join you in India, but in any case, we will continue to be in touch for the purposes of your project then. So I wish you really a very nice continuation to all of you. So thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye and thank you so much. If anybody has any questions, I would be more than happy to answer. At least I can tell you because my friends from Colombia told me that they travel for more than 40 hours and it is exactly 12 hours. So just now they are having night over there. So she was feeling very sleepy while having lunch. So I told her that normally I make good presentation, but I'm going to look at you when I make my presentation, and if you are sleeping, that means I'm not making a good presentation. But if you are still awake, that means I made a good presentation, and I could see you that you were quite awake. So because when I don't get claps, I always have to pat my own self. Thank you. Anybody having any questions? Any question from anybody, I will be very happy to answer. But more than that, I can also assure you as the leader of this project and the provost of the university that any one of you or any team of you or any group of you want to apply for Erasmus projects or for that matter any international projects from any organization or any body, I and Hardik and team IDPT who with this experience and of course the team INSQL are ready to help you, will be very happy to help. And I really look forward that at least 2024 project declaration, we at least have 3 projects from SARVAJANIK University proposed to Erasmus. Mayuri, Professor Mayuri and you both, I really look forward that we have a nice project from SCAT along with people from management and science and design. Let's work out. And the one more thing I would like to say, when you design a project, it does not mean that the project should come from your own domain. Like this has nothing to do with design. Right? We have made one more proposal to the European Union where we are talking about cultural tourism. And we have a complete different lot of friends and partners in the world. But we realize that we designers can also talk about, because we have good people from humanities like Neeraj and Babis and also, we thought we will be able to bid a good project proposal in cultural tourism. And if it happens, then it will be a great win-win situation because then we will actually have a postgraduate program in tourism in SARVAJANIK University, which will be supported by European Union. So let's see how we work further. But with this, I suppose there are no questions because my presentation was wonderful, or maybe you don't understand, but I think the first one was more correct. Yeah.
It's not a question. First of all, let me congratulate you for an excellent presentation. It was really amazing. But I would like you, as the provost, to throw some light on what are the provisions in NEP for internationalism, so that because this is going to be you have to implement NEP. It's already there. So what exactly are the areas where NEP is looking at in terms of internationalism? So this is for the benefit of
NEP came almost after 35, 36, 37 years. I don't know how many years it took to come as an education policy. But it came with a complete big change. All these years, it was always inward looking, where all the organization, all the statutory bodies kept on saying that if you do your post-graduation from that university abroad, it is not eligible. If you do your undergraduate from that university, it is not eligible. And on and on and on. NEP actually broke away those barriers. And it says, first of all, it says that you can stop learning at any age, deposit your credits that you have earned in an academic bank credit, maybe go for employment if you want, maybe go for some sabbatical if you want, maybe you want to go for self-improvement, and you come back. You may join any other institution, take advantage of that credit, bring back on your account and start continuing. So the first change that they brought was, up till now, the moment the student is depressed, does not want to study, or is subjected to some personal complication and therefore you cannot continue education, have to drop education. This NEP gives opportunity that you continue education at any time, and whatever you have learned in whatever institution is not gone for a waste. So while they were thinking about this, they realized that why should we restrict ourselves only to the national institution? So as a policy, they brought internationalization. Let me also remind you all, not remind you, let me also inform you that while we were applying for becoming a private university, there were seven parameters in which we had to show our vision, and I had to make a presentation in front of the minister. And one of the parameter was internationalization. That how are you going to cater to internationalization? So now even in the NEP, they are trying to say that let there be credit mapping. Let there be this surge of students wanting to go to Canada and Australia and US, and that should stop, because it is ultimately having brain drain. We are investing thousands and millions of rupees on each MBBS doctors and lawyers, and once they are done, they go in the name of post-graduation abroad and they don't come back, right? One more important thing. Though the figures were not so impressive about higher education, which I presented, about Indian scenario, where only 19% have the opportunity to enroll for higher education. But if you see the CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, 90% of those CEOs are Indians. That means, and all those CEOs have done their undergraduation here and post-graduation abroad. Very clear indicates that our undergraduate program is meaningful, is substantial. Another important aspect it says is that we have beautiful brains, intellect brains in our Indian citizens. So the only way to stop this brain drain going away from the country is to create similar opportunity of education, similar standards of education in India. And that is what is actually meaning of internationalization. Internationalization does not mean exchange programs, does not mean, but you have to reach to a level where anybody who does MBBS from India goes to Canada, he has to either do MBBS again or he has to appear for some exams, and it is almost impossible for that person to do it. Now, if a person with this gradual, the way world is going, and if we could raise our bar of education standards, a graduate from here will be at par with the graduate from the West. And that is what is this collaboration of 8 or 9 universities that you have in Europe, the European Technical University, right? EUT Plus, European Union University of Technology Plus. They are combining together the way they formed the European Union. They are forming this consortium. There are a student who wants to do one semester in Germany, wants to do another semester in UPCT, wants to do a third semester in Italy, right? It's just a form, an online application away, and you can do it. That is the scenario we should have at global level. The moment, and of course, see this whole word of international equity, of course it's a dream. But the day we have this international equity where everything is equal, I don't think we will ever have Russia or Ukraine, or there will be no boundaries, there will be no visas. My friend Nehal was telling me that she applied for visa to United States and she got an appointment of December 2025. So that is where we failed as a teacher. If we could have created our standards of education equal to US, nobody would want to go to US. Honestly. So NEP is opening doors for universities and institutions to have access to global education standards and develop that nationally in India. And for that, all those roadblocks, all those bottlenecks are removed. But now there's a question, which is a very challenging question, that there will be institutions which will misuse this. So up till now, we always thought that we always had the ostrich type of an, when it sees enemy, it puts its head under the sand and thinking the enemy is gone away. So we used to do that. For every program, we used to first think about the problem, and then because we thought about the problem, we never took a step ahead. With this new vision of our Prime Minister and this NEP, we are ready to face any problem, but we want to create opportunities for students. So I think that is a very promising thing of NEP 2020. And with this NEP, they are going to acknowledge blended education pattern, where not more than 30% of education can be on-site physically and 70% of your education is going to be online. In the next 2-3 years, majority of the students are going to have a great time learning because they will be free for themselves, but they will be getting knowledge across the globe. Because now, all we gave as knowledge was information up till now. But now information is available 24 by 365 on the net. So if they really want to come to the institution, they will not come for information, they will come for knowledge. And that is what this NEP is going to create. So we will have to rise our level, prepare ourselves to give knowledge and not information. I think this is, in a nutshell, this is what I see. Sandhya, I'm sorry I didn't let you go, but I'm sure you enjoyed my presentation. Sandhya was going away, so Sandhya, nahi dekhogi kya mera presentation? Sorry, I'm so happy, to see so many students sitting, and I hope that you are sitting without pressure, but there could be some pressure from here. But I'm confident that you enjoyed my presentation. So thank you so much. So with this, do we have anything else to do on this? Okay, so with this, we end this presentation, we end the program of the day. And before we leave this hall, as a resolve to make a difference in this country, let's all rise up at our seats and recite our national anthem.
Right. Go by. Side में मैं तो क्या है
पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाए तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
भारत माता की जय। Thank you very much.